Okay. So we're going to go ahead and start with the commission, or just go ahead and do the board adjustment? Okay. All right, so we are going to open up for call to order for the Board of Zoning and Adjustment. So let's see, I'd like to, let's do a roll call. Okay.
Markowski.
Here.
Fryer.
Here.
Christopher. McMullen.
Here.
Ramsey.
Here.
Bryant.
Here.
Baker. I'm here.
Okay.
Okay. Because in order to approve the minutes, technically and theoretically, at least 4 members who were members of the Board of Adjustment at the time the minutes were taken need to be present. Do we have 4 members present of the Board of Adjustment from last year?
I think I'm pretty sure, yes.
So we have, Markowski, McMullen, Bryant, and Baker. Okay. So we have 4. All right. So let's see, everyone had a chance to review the agenda? Okay. And the minutes as well?
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. Okay. And for a motion for approval of minutes?
I make a motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right. And let me go back, I skipped over 4. Let's look for a recognition of quorum, so we do have a quorum. All right, so let's go forward and we'll do the election of officers for the Board of Zoning Adjustment.
Is there a motion?
Yeah. Any motion?
Make a motion to elect the officers for this year.
Okay. All right. Maybe-
Is there any nominations?
Yeah. Any nominations or any maybe suggestions to keep the same slate?
We'll need new president, or chairman, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so same slate as the commission then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I make a motion to nominate Mr. Markowski for chairman and Mr. Fry for vice.
Second that.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, so we have our officers. Any old business to discuss? Any new business to discuss? All right. Now I look for a motion to adjourn the Board of Zoning and Adjustment.
Make a motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Leave the chair. We don't have a signal anymore.
I need tech support on this. All righty. Okay, now this is the Batesville Board of Zoning. Call this meeting to order.
Planning.
Or Planning Commission, I'm sorry. Where's my agenda? Did you check my agenda?
I believe so.
You might have.
There we go. There we go. Batesville Planning Commission. All right. Roll call.
One second, let me switch over to this other call to order. All right. Again, Markowski.
Here.
Fryer. Here. Christopher. Not present. McMullen.
Here.
Ramsey.
Here.
Bryant.
Here.
And Baker.
Okay. Have a recognition of the quorum. All right. Approval of the agenda. Is this for?
Commissioner,
Yeah.
could I request an addition to the agenda for tonight's meeting, please?
Yes.
This would be a request for a public street by Mr. Gutschall.
Public or private?
This would be a private street request. The condition to inform for discussion purposes only, no voting on this matter.
Can I call for a vote?
You need to get a motion to
Okay.
I make a motion for discussion of the private drive.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Yes, we'll add it to the agenda.
be new number 8.
Number 8. Should have brought a pen here. Okay.
I would like to make a slight change. I know we've got on this agenda 2-2, should be 3-2, but at the top.
Did he do that again?
I guess so.
All right. The agenda is officially 3/2/2026. Has everybody reviewed the minutes? Are there any questions or changes before approving them? Can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. So the first item is the review and approval of the Wayside Family Housing and Senior Housing Estate Site Plan. Is this the one? Let me double check. Is this the one that I have some form of interest in?
Yes.
Okay. I just need to make a note. Just to give notice, I don't have anything to do with this particular project, but my company is part of the transaction to purchase this property, so. All right, who do we have that is presenting?
Presenting.
Right there. Welcome and thank you, and please state your name.
Thank you. Casey Kleinhens, I'm a agent for the owner. We had the engineer was here last time, he couldn't make it this time.
Okay.
The requesting y'all's approval on two projects that will be developed as one, but are on separate parcels. The one on the screen now is the family project. That's it's 60 units of 1, 2, and 3 bedroom apartments, all rental units. This is a long-term hold ownership group, and we plan to put together a really good project and keep it operating for a long time.
Did the staff have any?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Did staff have any input or issues?
Mr. Middleton included in your agenda packet a narrative overview of the project that included some notes and remarks from staff we've had discussing this for a couple of months, as noted in the narrative packet, but actually we go back, it's been over a year when they first contacted us, we met and kind of had the ideas rolling. But no, we as staff, I'm not aware of any issues that haven't been covered.
Agreed. I mean, they've been very responsive anytime we had a question or a concern. And I think right now, everything presented is fine. That's fine.
Okay. So what stage are we at on where you're planning? Have you, I think this is a ADFA partnership, is that correct?
That's right. So, I mean, at this point, all funds are committed. The architects are at a DD level design set. We want to get final engineering approvals and move forward to closing. End of April to end of May.
Okay. Is there anything that you guys feel we...
Just a little bit more of an overview of this. There's actually 2 projects, but it's under one piece of property. And the reason it's dual, but not a subdivision, is that the properties may at some point in the future be sold for separate purposes. That's why there's one senior and one family. The staff has reviewed this, and basically the commission's role is to determine that every requirement of the city is being met by the development. And what the staff is saying is that everything has been met.
Okay. All right. Is there any further discussion?
Can I ask a question? Our property joins this, it's all at the back. So what are we looking at as far as the rent of each apartment? Are we looking, what are we looking at?
So, one bedrooms will be around 500 a month, the 2 bedrooms around 750, and 3 bedrooms about 900. And I'm happy to talk more after the meeting if you have other questions.
Absolutely. Okay, so I guess we're ready to, okay. Do I have a motion to approve the site plan?
Do you want to see both developments
Are we not going to, are we going to do it simultaneously, or do we want to do one at a time?
one at a time?
Yeah. So we would make a, I have a motion to vote on the Wayside Family, is that the one we have up there?
Yes.
On the Wayside Family Housing Site Plan.
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so that site plan is approved.
I'm going to scroll through this thing because I want everybody to see, including the commission, how much effort was put into this.
Slow roll.
The detail is extraordinary compared to what we typically see. And so I didn't include all of the details when I sent the stuff to the commissioners, because that was something like 15 megabytes of data. But there's the drainage, landscaping, details, but this is basically what it looks like.
Okay, so do we have the senior housing estates? Okay, so this is the senior housing estates. It's on the,
Right here is the whole thing.
okay,
And to where I'm pointing the cursor, that's the family. This is the senior, and it has a direct access to Broadwater.
okay.
And a secondary access over to the family side, so that it can, if anything happened to this access, both of these developments needed a secondary access or a fire access. This is the fire access, this is the primary. And you will notice on the other one, it had a primary and coming right in this area, and a secondary coming down from north into this.
All right, is there any discussion on the senior housing estates site plan? If none, do I have a motion to approve the site plan?
Motion to approve.
A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, so what do we got on the industrial? The correction on there.
Let's go through a whole lot of stuff to get to it.
It's right at the very end.
Come on. There we go. Okay, you recall that towards the end of last year, we were amending the zoning code, and we amended residential, commercial, and industrial. And with the packet that was sent to the city council, unfortunately left out a couple of things on the industrial side. And in order to correct that, I mean, it was always intended to be there, which was basically a description of what the I-1 zone is and what the I-2 zone is. Those are the only things really missing. They needed to be there in order to make that chapter complete as intended. Everything else is the same. And so what you're looking at there and what was in your packet is simply adding this little section right here. It's hard to see.
Go right here.
Flip the page.
And then use the,
I'm not used to this computer. Okay, that's just what the issue is, but what's being added is the sections, which is kind of the outline of what sections are included in this chapter, and on the narrative description, which is currently was in the original zoning code under each industrial, each zone. And now they are compressed into a single chapter with a narrative of what each of the zones is about. And I'm recommending that there be a public hearing next month in order to consider and make a recommendation to the city council to amend the current chapter to include what's missing.
so do we need to vote to do that?
It'd be good to just vote to have a
To have a public meeting?
public hearing next month.
Is there any discussion before we proceed to a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor of a public hearing to discuss correcting Chapter 14.08? Say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay. Alrighty, so the new item number 8 is going to be the discussion of the private road. I have to recuse myself because I am the real estate agent involved in this transaction. You want to? We tried to get a map up here, but we did not successfully do so. We don't have a way to cast this thing, do we? I do. His email's not working.
Pull up just the street map from the City of Batesville website, and it'll show that driveway.
Sign in.
City of Batesville.org. Okay, scroll down. It's right there on the next, under maps.
Ah. It's about that much.
Yeah. And you got to really blow it up. Somewhere real close to that 23 below to the right. Real close.
Yeah, it's the R1
Yeah, I'd say it's the R1
right.
section right in there.
right there.
That'll give us something to,
Zoom in further once you get to the
Start with. Yeah, oh, you can get the resolution on that.
okay. It's somewhere,
Scroll back down.
go up just a hair. I need to get right there. Okay, stop right there. Approximately here is an existing 50-foot wide strip that is owned by the Bryant Estate that has a private drive at this point that is specifically to the house. The discussion is very narrow on this. There is a person or group of people that are looking to purchase this property, and they are looking to potentially parcel it into a 5-acre parcel here, a 5-acre parcel with the house on it, and another 5-acre parcel right here. In order to do that, the current private drive needs to be a public street, so that it, or a private street, I'm sorry, private street, so that it can serve more than one property. In order to do that, we have discussed with staff, specifically the engineer and the fire department, the minimum requirements the fire department needs is a 20-foot wide road and a 75-foot diameter cul-de-sac so that they can easily get in and be able to turn around in case they have to service any of the parcels at the end. Currently, the driveway is 12 foot wide, so it would need to be widened 4 feet on either side. There are utilities that are already within that 50-foot strip. There is at least gas and water that currently go through that strip. So they would have to, the road widening would have to be made sure that it doesn't get into those. And that would simply be for the service of those 3 parcels. At that point, most of the people that know this property know there is an old road that goes all the way to Gap Road. That would be severed at the point that this becomes that private road instead of a private drive. So there would be no pass-through through that old road going to Gap Road, because in the code, if you make it a private road, it has to dead end. So it will dead end right here and service these 3 properties here. It's pretty straightforward. What we need is some discussion to make sure that the rules are followed, and if there's anything that needs to be brought to our attention, that can be taken care of. The request from Mr. Goschalk was for a road that meets the requirements of the fire department, which is 20 foot wide with a 75-foot diameter cul-de-sac, in order not to disturb the neighbors on either side of that existing driveway. No curbs and gutters are wanted to be put on there so that it doesn't cause any more issues. Also, definitely no sidewalks, because the people at the end of that drive do not want traffic. They do not want walking traffic. They want privacy, and that's the reason a private drive is being requested.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll open up for discussion. Anybody have any questions? Okay.
You take comments from the public?
Sure.
Hello.
How are
I'm
you?
Garrett Moore. I live across the street from this, and I'm a lawyer here in town. Steve Bell cannot be here. He lives right next door. I think the Wadleys, who are on the other side of this strip. I want to say that we disagree with, I think, I haven't done title work, I think there's a 50-foot strip that is a record title in Steve Bryant's name, but if you actually go there and look, the 12-foot road, private driveway, is the only thing that's actually been used by Steve over the last 20 years. Steve Bryant. Steve Bell has built property and maintained his property up to that driveway. He's got an irrigation system in the ground, and I believe by operation of law, that property up to that boundary has become his. On the other side of the 12-foot private driveway that's currently just servicing the one house, the Wadleys who are here have maintained the other side of it up to that boundary for 20-something years. And so by operation of law, that property is theirs. So, I mean, I think if you're going to approve the expansion of this current private driveway that services one house into a much larger, I didn't hear exactly how wide it needs to be, driveway, you're actually going to be expanding it over property that's currently owned. Maybe not as a matter of record title, but by virtue of Arkansas law, by Mr. Bell and the Wadleys. And so they're obviously concerned about this. Steve would like for you to pass this. That's his request until your next meeting to give him a chance to understand better what's happening. I understand that's not palatable to people who have a contract. Dr. Gottschalk has tried to bite us, but the big issue from a legal perspective is you're not just dealing with Steve Bryant's ownership. You're dealing with property that's owned by Steve Bell and Glenda and David and Cheryl Wadley. It's been maintained for more than 20 years, including the irrigation system for Steve's backyard. So I think we're talking about more than just expanding. Beyond that, I mean, the Gap Road issue, I didn't know that was an issue until today. Connecting with Gap Road is a big deal, obviously. So I'm hopeful there's a way that this can be resolved to everybody's mutual satisfaction. I don't think it's going to happen tonight. But on behalf of Steve Bell, he really does not want this issue to go forward at this moment. He's asked for it to be passed. I think he's probably called some of you to talk to you about this, frankly. But the legal issue is that the currently existing private road that services one house is, I think, all that legally is there in Steve Bryant's estate. So you're dealing with land that is Steve and Glenda Bell's property and David and Cheryl Wadley's property on either side of this. So that's what you're doing if you expand this and approve it. And you're changing the character of the neighborhood too, right, potentially.
Okay.
And if you think about a private drive versus a public road, think about the one-lane alley between Eagle Mountain and Mountain Ridge. If you don't block it off, after a period of time, that private road becomes a public road, right? And so there has to be some blocking of it, or if the public has access to it and uses it, after a period of time, it becomes a public road. And I think probably that's what's happened to that little alley, that little one-lane alley between Eagle Mountain and Mountain Ridge. And does that meet the standard, for this? So that's the comment that Mr. Bell would like to make. And I mean, somebody who lives across the street, I know the Wadleys are maintaining up to it. I know Steve maintains the other side, so I think their position is correct. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Mr. Moore. This was just for information only tonight, so there will not be a vote.
Just discussion.
Just discussion.
I have a question. Mark Lambert, Jamestown Investments, doing business at Atlas Asphalt and Whitebird Materials. Is this going to be a private drive?
Yes. There's definitely some misinformation going along. This is a private drive. The only 3 parcel owners that will have access to this legally are going to be the 3 5-acre parcels.
Who will maintain it?
There will be a roadway agreement that is required by the city, stating that the city is not liable for it, and that the 3 parcel owners are required to maintain it, and they are required to split the cost.
So at no time will this become a city street?
Not only will it not be a city street, it has to be severed so that it can't go all the way to Gap Road in order to meet the requirements to become a private road.
Well, I will tell you, I wrote the specs for city streets some 30 years ago, and these don't meet 22 feet of asphalt, curb and gutter, sidewalks, all that has to be addressed. I hear what Mr. Markowski is saying about the private drive, so to speak. If those private drives have a tendency to become public streets, and again, it does not meet specs. Now, I'm neighbors with the Wadleys and the Bells and the Moores, and I'm with them as to slow this down just a bit. Let's take a real hard look at it, transparency. I didn't know about this until Friday on my way to Fayetteville. So I'm not sure what the big rush is other than Dr. Gottschalk and Mr. Markowski's timeline. But I would like the commission to at least slow this down enough. Steve Bell's out of town. He'll be back sometime in March, I think middle of March. At that time, if you want to take this up again and have a full-blown discussion, I'd be happy to do that. I'm sure the Wadleys and the Bells and the other neighbors would like to participate. Thank you.
Well, maybe I should give the commission and perhaps the audience a little bit more background. This is the most unusual project. This is a subdivision that's not a subdivision. According to the zoning code, a subdivision is not a subdivision or a division of land if it's over 10 acres and breaks out into lots over 5 acres apiece. This is 4 different properties that are going to be, at any given time, turn into 5 or 6 properties, all of which theoretically are not part of a subdivision. The applicant is asking for a private street, but the zoning code says quite specifically that a private street can only be approved by the planning commission, and the only thing that the planning commission can approve is the private street. If it is not a subdivision, you're not approving a subdivision plat. But in order to not be a subdivision, every lot that's going to be part of it has to be more than 5 acres. And I have not seen a surveyor's report with meets and bounds so that I can confirm, because this project has changed several times over the last couple of weeks. I need to confirm for my own satisfaction that in fact these lot properties do exceed 5 acres. They appear to be, which would mean it's not a subdivision. That would settle the question about what the planning commission has to approve. The code specifically says that in order for a private street to even be considered, it must meet several conditions, one of which is that it cannot in any circumstance ever be connected from one street to another city street. That's cash in the wood. You have to be able to prove that it won't be. And secondly, and this is fundamentally important, is that it must meet city street standards. And what we're lacking is specific cross-sections that will confirm what the street standards are met. Now, the applicant can be making a request for a waiver of some standards, but not all. So, but those have to be real specific and in writing so that the planning commission can decide whether it's in the city's interest to do that. Comment that was made is, yes, those private streets get turned into city streets. That's why we make it very difficult in order to be done to city standards, so that at some point in the future, if the property owners change hands and want the city to be responsible for maintenance, the city is not going to accept for dedication a street that's in inferior design. That's why the standard has to be met. So the reason this is only being considered for looking at is, and not decision, is that until the staff has certified that the requirements for either a non-subdivision and or the street itself and all utilities can meet city standards, the planning commission shouldn't look at it until it's ready to be approved. End of sermon. Anybody else want to speak?
Any other discussion?
I'd like to say something again. So, since I'm in discussion with Bryant Estate, who can't be here, they're in Florida and other places right now too. But my understanding is Bryant Estate has been paying taxes on this property to include both sides of that driveway. So just because someone may be squatting there doesn't mean that Bryant's don't actually own that. That can be up for discussion at a later date. And then you will be getting plots. We have had the layout of the lots that are at least 5 acres in size, each of them. So that will not require a subdivision.
It can't be at least 5 acres, it has to be more than.
5 acres, yeah.
You bring up another point. I'm not an attorney, so I'm not going to offer any legal advice whatsoever, but I'm going to say that apparently there are some legal issues, and the legal issues need to be resolved before it comes to the planning commission, because we don't want a situation where the city may be looking at some future legal problem. That needs to be resolved on the front end. It's not something that the planning commission can approve, but the planning commission has to do due diligence to make sure the city is protected and is not likely to become part of a lawsuit. And it seemed like there was also a question that I just heard the first thing this morning, was that is there an issue about the master
Bill of assurance.
Bill of assurance? And I don't know the answer to that. That's another thing that may be a legal issue. Those things need to be reconciled so that it's a clean application that comes to the commission. I mean, It ought to be simple, but nothing's simple, not this one. Any questions? There'll be a more developed, and once all the staff's questions are resolved, it'll come to the commission. With any luck, that'll be next month, but we'll see.
Any other discussion?
Alrighty. Okay, moving on to number 9. Is there any old business? I don't think there was anything. No. Okay. Any new business? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn. Second.
Second. All in favor? Aye. All right. Thank you.
How do you think now?